Welcome to this part two of the Best International Broadcast Band. A question from a viewer, and of course, I'm explaining the different international broadcast bands, pretty much what time you should listen, and which ones are the most popular. We can't answer a question of which is the one that is the best, but we can answer a question of which ones are the best to tune around and that are used the most. So we stopped here at 31 meters in the last video. Now let's go to 25 meters, which is another great band. And that one is great because it's almost a 24-hour band. If you want to have stations on this band, you will have them if you tune around from about 11,500 all the way to 12,200. Let's put it real large. Here what you see is what I'm receiving right now at almost 23 UTC. This is an important band. It has a lot of great stations. Most broadcasters, once again, are using 25 meters. It has interesting characteristics because in the daytime, it often has quite a lot of signals also. And it will be almost a 24-hour band. It shares characteristics with lower frequencies, but higher frequencies also. Most broadcasters use it, so at different times of day, do tune around. Signals tend to start to get stronger in mid to late afternoon, and of course evening, and especially in the summer. And like I said, it's worth tuning for all the signals around here. One of the stations I often will be hearing on this band is Radio Nacional Amazonas from Brazil, which often has some great Brazilian music.
É uma violência contra a cidadania brasileira, assim como é uma violência o subfinanciamento do sistema único universal.
So this is Brazil. So definitely one of the most used bands also. Check that out, is very important. 22 meters, this is one of the bands that was added at some point in the 80s, and it became quite popular. 22 meters is 13 megahertz. I would put this band into the 13,550-ish and go up to about 13,900 in general. This has a lot of broadcasts also. Not every broadcaster is using it, but it's become quite a popular band. It's part of one of the bands that is kind of a 24-hour in-between band. So depending on the day, you'll have shifting propagation from the east or from the west. Tune around regularly. And if you're wondering what's on 13,560, because a lot of people stumble upon that frequency. 13,560 and wonder what are the beeps and squeals and all the tones and stuff. This is a frequency for all sorts of scientific, medical devices, RFID, and so on. So that's what this is, local stuff that you're hearing. For the rest, tune around. An interesting band to explore. Next, we look at the 19-meter band, and this is one of the very, very important shortwave broadcast bands. Once again, one of the most used and definitely needs to be tuned around. Depending on the time of year, it could be 24-hour band almost in the summer, for example, with high solar activity. It will be mostly a daytime band most of the time, especially in the winter. And you can actually listen to this band from, I would put this band to be 15,000 kilohertz, where you could hear WWV here, probably. There we go. So this is WWV 15 megahertz. And throughout this band, you'll have all sorts of broadcasters. Almost every broadcaster is using the 19-meter band. Like I said, more in the daytime very often. But there's a lot of stuff even in the nighttime. So check out this band. Most broadcasters are using it. Definitely much more of a daytime band, but some interesting stuff to listen to is 16 meters. 16 meters is anywhere from about 17,500 all the way to 18,000 kilohertz. One of the notable stations here in the summertime is Spain on 17,855. Radio Exterior de España is very strong to North America. This is much more a daytime band, so you'll have a tendency to listen to mostly in the daytime, but don't be fooled. Sometimes on the long summer days, you might hear stuff in the evening, also in the night, but think about it mostly as a daytime band. Not every station is using all of these 16-meter band, but there's quite a lot of activity there, so throughout the day, do listen in. 13-meter, which is 21,000, roughly 21,450-ish, all the way to 21,850. This 13-meter band, there are a few stations using it. It is more popular now with the solar activity being high. It is mostly a daytime band to listen to. Check it out. You might be surprised what you hear, especially now that the solar activity is higher. I've heard France, Radio France. I've heard the BBC. I've heard a couple of stations from the US in here. So there's stuff to listen to, definitely. And last but not least, the band that is pretty much not used anymore for the most part, 11-meter band. Used to be quite popular when in the 70s and 80s with some stations, especially with the higher solar activity. 25,700 all the way to 26,100. But you won't find international broadcasters using it right now. But you might find some other things. There are some studio-to-link transmitters. There are all sorts of weird things that pop up. I know there's one European station that's on, I think 25,870 or something like that, or 820. So you can check it out. It's mostly, of course, daytime, but there's sporadic e-skip and all sorts of phenomena in here that could actually make the broadcasts or the signals come in. Even though you see nothing, even though you hear nothing every time you go there, I think it's worth it to explore for the mysteries that can pop up in here. So that was part 2. Hope you enjoyed our look at the international broadcast bands, and it might help you in tuning around the different signals. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up. Thank you for watching.